Hey everyone, my name is Zania. We're still riding on the high of the biggest week of the year in professional wrestling, and ROH put on the best show of the weekend, and let me tell you why. So yeah, you guys, we're here today to talk about ROH Supercard of Honor 2023, probably the biggest, most important show after the rebrand. And as per usual, we talked to some fans outside of the arena, and this time was super special because we actually talked to some people from all over the world. We're at the Galen Center in the beautiful Los Angeles, California, and the ROH Supercard of Honor show is just a couple hours away. We're in the middle of one of the biggest weeks of the year in pro wrestling, and we have a stacked card for tonight's show. The legendary Katsuyori Shibata is facing William Yuta for the ROH Pure title, and then of course we have Claudio Castagnoli facing Eddie Kingston for the ROH World Championship. And we're going to talk to some fans. We're going to see how excited they are and see what they think and what they're looking forward to on tonight's show. So I'm here with
Rita
and
Kayla,
Christopher Brewer,
JJ,
John?
and you guys look absolutely amazing. And you have a sweet ROH title here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and are you guys here as a family? Are you friends? Like, what's the situation?
That's my son. I raised him watching wrestling.
Hello. What is your name?
I'm Nick.
Nice to meet you. Or just keeps expanding.
Yeah, I raised him watching wrestling, and then when they started dating, he got her into wrestling.
Nice.
He and I have been friends and going to wrestling events for about 20 years.
We had a guy from China.
My name is Seth Ramos, and I'm from China. I'm a big fan of Ring of Honor. And today I'm going to for my favorite wrestler, Pentagon Jr. And it's only Stelo Miedo.
What's your other sign?
Other side is for my Chinese media.
Oh, nice. Did you travel all the way from China for the show?
Actually, I'm in the school of USC, so I'm here to watch
Nice.
match in my own school. So this is my honor, and this is Ring of Honor. So it's a place to create honors. So I'm really happy to get this interview, and Ring of Honor, awesome. Yeah.
We had a girl from Germany who was very enthusiastic about Claudio Castagnoli and him being champion. I'm here with
Annette from Germany.
Oh wow, from Germany all the way. Did you fly here to see the show?
Yes.
Wow. Who are your favorites?
Of course, Claudio Castagnoli, because he's near us, so and he speaks German as well, so that's cool.
Do you think he's gonna win tonight?
I hope so.
Nice. Is this your first time traveling internationally for a show like this?
No, I think it's 7 times, and but it's my first ROH show, so I'm really looking forward to it.
What made you travel to see an ROH show? What's so exciting in this for you?
Because it's more intense than everything else, and the crowd is better.
And the way that we found the German girl was actually that I was interviewing someone else, and they said that they want Eddie Kingston to win the title, and the German girl was so not okay with that and in such disagreement with that she was side-eyeing that person from outside the frame. So we had to interview her also, and she had a great vibe, and it's awesome to see people come to see ROH from all over the globe. We also got to talk to a pretty significant person for ROH history, Mary Kate, the photographer, who has been there from the very, very start. So it was awesome to hear her perspective on the rebrand also. So I'm not going to ask for your name because we all know who you are. This is Mary Kate, the legendary. Tell us what you do.
So I've been a wrestling photographer for 20 plus years. I've helped out with websites, merchandise, a whole chain of all trades, and I'm here today for Supercard of Honor.
And you've been around and working with Ring of Honor for how many years now?
What year is this? So since day one. I shot ringside for Ring of Honor from their very first show, Era of Honor Begins, until exclusively May of 2007. then came back just in time for the world to shut down in 2020. So, and here we are.
And how did the rebrand make you feel? Do you think it's better now? Was it an emotional experience?
Yeah, it was a very emotional experience. So I was there the night in Jacksonville when Tony announced that he acquired the rights to Ring of Honor. I was there at Final Battle for the, like, basically the goodbye for the Honor, you know, the end of an era. And it's just, at first I was worried. Last year's Supercard, it felt like it was missing something, but I feel like that it's back. Like, Final Battle was incredible. I was there live in Dallas, amazing with TV taping. So recently, more than though, that feeling was back. So I'm really excited for the future. I think Tony's got it in great hands, and I'm really excited for it.
And you guys should check out her social media and her photography work if you haven't yet, which if you're an ROH fan, I'm 100% sure you have seen her work, and it's awesome. One of the main questions, of course, was the main event and people's predictions and who they wanted to win, because we have been seeing this huge juxtaposition between the style, the approach, and the message that Claudio Castagnoli brings versus Eddie Kingston, two pretty much extreme opposite wrestlers. So we wanted to know what the fans wanted to see and whose side they were on. Besides yourself, who do you think is walking out champion tonight?
My opinion, probably gonna be Kingston.
Okay.
Kingston, you know, he's been wanting to get this title for a long time. And Cesaro, I think, Claudio. His time is coming up to an end, you know? So
Oh, wow.
my money is on Kingston.
Those are fighting words.
Eddie Kingston. I think it's his time.
Oh, why?
Just been wrestling for so long, never had a major title. I think it'd be perfect for him.
I know in my heart, Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's got to do it tonight. This has been building up for a very, very long time. So I don't think anybody can stop him. But I really feel that Eddie Kingston, as long as his head's on straight, he could go ahead and do it.
I think Eddie's gonna win, and I think he deserves to win. I think it'll be really close.
And what do you think about the comment that Claudio made about how the man who has no honor can't be Ring of Honor champion?
He has honor, just not for his daughter.
Okay, very fair. And you have a beautiful Eddie Kingston shirt.
Yeah,
Are you rooting for him to win in the main event?
of course.
We have a nice Eddie Kingston squad. The match that you guys are the most excited for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Another question that we definitely had to ask was whether fans are enjoying the presence of more different styles in ROH, because we've been seeing lots of luchadors. Of course, we still have the classic pure style. Then we have some more modern wrestlers coming in, younger wrestlers who are bringing a different feel too. And then we had some New Japan Pro Wrestling people featured on the card. So we want to know how people feel about that and whether they're enjoying a lot of different styles on the show, which they do seem to be enjoying that. And they do seem to be relating to all those different wrestlers and finding an even deeper level of connection with the show and with the brand because of that. We've been seeing more of the lucha style in ROH. We have Commander on the card today. We have Vikingo. Yeah. So do you like to see that? Do you like to see other styles?
Oh, yeah, of course. Those are my people. The Lucha Brothers are going to be in the ladder match as well, so I'm really hyped to see them. Vikingo, he was just added. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one as well. And he had a really good match against Omega last week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, I really hope Vikingo can win because Vikingo against Kenny Omega last week, and we're seeing his very good matches, and he used his high flyer moves, and it's impressed us. And we hope Vikingo can get more opportunities to win more champions. And I hope some Mexican wrestlers and also some young wrestlers can be a really good chance to be in the big stage. And thank you so much.
Absolutely, because if you go all the way back to Era of Honor begins, you had that influence. I mean, Eddie Guerrero, of all people, was on the very first Ring of Honor show. So if you think Super Crazy, same. So it's always been part of the Ring of Honor legacy to have the lucha style. So I love that they're even becoming more of a focal point now, too.
Yeah, I think it's so awesome because even like other companies, they all have kind of the same style, and ROH really has like a mix of all of these type of.
Yeah, honestly, the more representation, the better. Perhaps I like to see it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Are you excited? What's the matches you're most looking forward to?
Vikingo and the Listigo.
Hell yeah. So I assume you've been liking more of the lucha style on the show, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had to compare ROH pre-rebrand versus after rebrand versus after Tony Khan purchasing it. And it seems to be the consensus that ROH right now is bigger and better than ever and so promising, and the weekly shows have done amazingly building up for that pay-per-view, and the spirits were high outside of the arena. Have you been following the weekly episodes?
I've been watching Ring of Honor since way back when.
Yeah, so you were watching it before the rebrand. Do you think it's better now?
Quality-wise, yeah.
Yeah, I keep up. I bought the Honor Club,
Cool.
so I've been watching since it started. Yeah.
Nice. Do you think it's better now in the new era?
Well, I wasn't really watching the previous era,
Yeah.
so kind of news to me. But yeah, so it's all right so far.
What makes you watch now? What makes you love it? Why are you at the show?
Oh, I'm a big wrestling fan. I like to go wherever I can. I have ROH today. I like the wrestling aspect more than the entertaining aspect.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Which
Pro
for
wrestling.
ROH, that's, a perfect way to approach it, I would think.
Wrestling overall has been basically my escape, my safe place. And I'm finally glad I get to just come out and see it,
Were you following ROH before the rebrand?
Yes, it's not that easy because we are from Germany, and so you have to dig in and try to find a good location. But with Fight TV, it's okay. You can look at that.
Do you think it's better now after the rebrand?
I think it's the same. I really think it's the same because I watched it since I can't remember. And I like the vibe of the shows, and I think it's the same than before.
I got into wrestling because they look like drag queens to me, and that's just kind of why I think everybody on ROH has a really interesting personality, and there's a great mix of people.
I just enjoy all the different wrestling styles and everything that it has to offer, really. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Pretty much the same reason as she gives. I love seeing everybody's different styles.
Pretty much the same.
Wow. Everyone is in agreement. How beautiful. Are you guys excited for the show? What matches do you want to see the most?
Honestly, all of them.
How about you?
I'm really excited for Yuta and Chibata and Athena.
Everybody, but
Everybody.
Athena for sure.
I don't think anybody's going to expect me to say anything but the Kingdom. So definitely the Reach to the Sky ladder match. Definitely root for the Kingdom all the way. They're going from three-time Ring of Honor champions.
We'll fact check that in
I think so. They were three. They were two. Were they two? I wouldn't know. Matt Taylor said so mad of it. Sorry. But yes, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get those belts back.
We've all been following the new era of ROH, the weekly episodes on Honor Club, and this has all been building up to tonight's show, ROH Supercard of Honor. To sum it up, there was this amazing big match, big show feel, and the fans were lining up well before the doors time, and the fans were so excited. They had titles, they had shirts. There was this buzzing atmosphere outside the arena, and honestly, for me personally, it was a pleasure, it was an honor, pun intended, to do media for that show, because it's definitely something that you would want to cover. And like I was saying, out of the whole weekend of wrestling, in my opinion, that was the best show, the best wrestling, and the best card that was out there. And with that, let's look at it match by match real quick and mention some important points that matter in terms of brand presentation and in terms of the ROH storylines going forward. And there was a media scrum, a press conference after the show also that I had, again, an honor to be present at. And it also revealed a bunch of long-term plans for ROH, a bunch of contract statuses, a bunch of, talent feedback on the way that the brand has been conducted. And that is a separate video, and I'll put the link in the description down below, and you guys can check it out on the channel, and we're going to talk about what the future holds for ROH. But for now, let's take a look at Supercard of Honor. Let's start with the pre-show 0 hour. You guys know I have a soft spot for pre-shows because it's just somewhere where talent that doesn't get featured on the main card as much gets to shine, and it's a bit less pressure, so sometimes you get to have more fun with it, and sometimes you get to see less emotionally charged matches and more of a fun wrestling match, but also sometimes that's where you see new storylines started. So I'm definitely a pre-show person, a 0 hour person, and I never skip those, and I advise that you don't either. So the first match we had on the pre-show was Jeff Cobb versus Hot Sauce, Tracy Williams, and this was probably like the 5th time I saw Jeff Cobb wrestle that weekend. Jeff Cobb was booked and busy, let me tell you that. And it's awesome that we're seeing more and more of the United Empire presence on ROH, which they still are primarily New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestlers. And we just saw just recently Aussie Open win the IWGP tag titles, which is amazing to see because they've definitely been one of my current favorite tag teams. And United Empire just have been doing awesome. And Jeff Cobb still remains a strong individual within the group, and it's awesome to see him featured on ROH and on AEW. And he's a great person to do the opener because he always gets a great reaction. He's super athletic, super agile. Tracy Williams is surely a great match for that kind of energy. Jeff Cobb, a short time after losing to Kenny Omega, redeems himself, wins the match on 0 Hour in this great opener. So just overall, great to see that. Great to see Jeff Cobb in ROH, and I would like to see more of Jeff Cobb in ROH. Then we had Konosuke Takeshita versus Willie Mack. Again, Willie Mack is also one of those people who have been great to watch on ROH, and he brings a very special energy. He's not your cookie cutter wrestler. The way that he looks and the way that he presents doesn't really prepare you for how agile and how flippy he is, for the lack of a better word, which he really, really is. And Konosuke Takeshita is just a phenomenon in itself because the reactions that he's been getting in AEW and in ROH have been incredible. The crowd, the people love that man. And we've been seeing Don Callis try to recruit him and try to take him under his wing, which of course might mess with the pure good guy energy that Konosuke Takeshita gives right now and that we observe on social media, and we all see his gastronomic love story with Cinnabon, and he's been sharing his journey of moving to the United States. And Konosuke Takeshita is just someone that the crowd always connects with, and he won that match. And of course, amazing reaction, raising Bob for his appearance, for his win. And I would definitely like to see Konosuke Takeshita involved in more meaningful storylines, which I think we're kind of getting with the Don Callis thing. But there's been a bit of a disconnect because Don Callis has been very busy gaslighting Kenny Omega, so he's too busy to take care of Konosuke Takeshita currently. But yeah, I would love to see more of his character, and I would love to see more of a highlight of his personality in the ring. Then we had Willow Nightingale versus Miranda Alizé. And with Miranda is definitely part of the whole lucha movement that has been kind of taking over ROH. Definitely very traditional lucha style on her part. And then Willow Nightingale, obviously very, very loved by ROH crowds. And Willow is just super special in a lot of subtle ways. Her super positive, super sweet presentation that's combined with her very much powerhouse in-ring style and very canonical powerhouse taunts, powerhouse in-ring presence. That's not very typical for a woman either. And she has, some taunts like taking the straps down that are usually perceived as reserved for men. And she is incredibly powerful, incredibly strong, just a brute force. But then she's also smiley, she's dancing, she's bringing this positive energy. Kids love her, people love her. She wins this match, and it was just a great clash of styles to observe, some dirtier tactics on Miranda's part, that got ultimately defeated by the power of good by Willow Nightingale. So Willow Nightingale is definitely someone who has a big, bright future in ROH, and she's already gotten a title shot with Athena, and I'm sure we're going to see a rematch for that in the nearest future. Then we had Stu Grayson versus Lin Jay, which is a super fun matchup. I feel one thing is everyone is super happy still to see Stu Grayson back. Like, he definitely is the heart, the soul of Dark Order in a sense, and him and Evil Uno were the founding members of Dark Order, so Dark Order just was not the same without Stu Grayson. So it's awesome to see him back, and it's awesome to see more spotlight on him. And with Slim J and Trustbusters on the whole, if you come to ROH tapings in Orlando or to AEW Dark tapings in Orlando, Trustbusters have become a meme of their own. Because if you come to the Dark tapings, you're gonna see 1,000 Trustbusters matches. Those people just control Dark. Dark exists specifically for them. And I could not even tell you how many Trustbusters matches I've seen this past couple of months. Probably one too many. And Slim J is definitely a win in the most delightful way possible, while honestly being this great in-ring wrestler. Like, that's the thing about Trustbusters. They're all amazing in-ring performers, yet somehow they just manage to grind your gears in the best ways possible. So very satisfying to see Stu Grayson pin Slim J. Now let's talk about the main card. So the opener for the main card was the Lucha match. For the AAA title, we had Hijo del Vikingo versus Commander. Hijo del Vikingo made his AEW debut just recently in Missouri against Kenny Omega, which was huge, which was the International Dream match. And I did make a video about that too, and we did talk to fans about that, so I'll put the link somewhere so you guys can check it out. Hijo del Vikingo has always been a notable character in the world of Lucha, but he's been making more bigger appearances in the American scene, and people have been absolutely loving him. He had wrestled that weekend also at World of Lucha and at the WrestleCon show, and he just keeps getting those insane reactions. People love it. People love to see his innovative in-ring style. But I do want to stop and talk a bit more about Commander, because Commander has definitely been one of my favorite luchadors recently. I just dig his style. I just dig the way he works the ropes. I just dig his timing. And I do feel the matchup with Hijo del Vikingo was an awesome showcase of the in-ring styles of both wrestlers. And it was just great to see. It was pure lucha, but adapted for American TV, which is also important because not all TV wrestling companies, not all American wrestling companies know how to work with lucha and know how to accommodate to luchadors and their style and how to adapt it for TV, which ROH did a great job with that. We got some super classic table spots. We got lots of flippy stuff that we love so much. And I would like to keep seeing Commander on AEW and ROH, because I do feel like he has this like interesting it factor about him where like while he does the very traditional lucha, he somehow fits so well in the American TV product, and he just elevates any wrestler that he's in the ring with, and he just works so perfectly with pretty much any style, and he's just been awesome to watch. So I would love to see more of him. Then we had the ROH Trios title match. We had the Embassy versus Blake Christian, Metalik, and AR Fox. That's definitely an awesome selection of wrestlers to watch wrestle each other. The Embassy have been a very convincing, powerful unit in ROH, but also in AEW, and we just recently saw them join forces with Mogul affiliates, with Swerve Strickland. So now we're looking at an even bigger, even more powerful faction, and I'm excited to see how that's going to work out. But then Blake Christian, Metalik, and AR Fox, it's given a bit thrown together for sure. Very, very different wrestlers. I have less of a problem with Blake Christian teaming with AR Fox than I do with Metalik somehow being in the mix, which again, great to see a luchador in ROH always. It just, to me, doesn't really make sense as to how that happened. And I did watch the weekly episodes leading up to the formation of that team. We saw a bunch of run-ins. We saw, a bunch of tag matches on the weeklies. Still doesn't really explain to me what holds that team together, other than the fact that those three are just all incredible wrestlers, which is always great to see. Not entirely sure what's going on. Not sure about the chemistry of that team, but I do dig all of them individually. And all of them have definitely been an AEW Dark / ROH Weekly discovery, and all of them have been wrestlers that got that spotlight on ROH Weeklies that fans have been clamoring for them to have, and to see them wrestle on the pay-per-view is, of course, amazing. And I'd like to see in the future maybe more of their individual endeavors, not as this team. Then we had the ROH Women's Championship, Athena versus Yuka Sakazaki. And Yuka Sakazaki is one of the originals in terms of when AEW decided to showcase some Joshi style in their product and brought in a bunch of women from Japan. And we saw them on the first ever AEW pay-per-view, on the first ever Double or Nothing. And Yuka Sakazaki was among them. And that was kind of the same premise, the same situation in which we saw Ajakon, in which we saw Riho appear in AEW, and Riho went on to become champion later. So the Joshi style and the representatives of that style have definitely been a consistent force in AEW. So it was great to see Athena go against Yuka Sakazaki, and Athena has definitely been lately more and more of this brutal, ruthless force, and yet somehow, to me, it feels like she's more herself than she's ever been. And not to get ahead of myself, but even at the press scrum, the way that she conducts herself and the way that she answers the questions and the way that she, talks about her journey as the ROH Women's Champion, it comes off very, very natural. It comes off very fluid. It's not forced. And she seems to be just thriving in this ruthless persona that she has right now. And it seems to be working so well for her. And, she won this match. She retained the championship. She's still a champion. And she's been the amazing person to represent the ROH women's division. Because when I think this type of wrestling, in the words of Tony Khan himself, wrestling for a hardcore fan, this is the type of women's champion that I want to see. I don't want to see necessarily a diva persona. I don't want to necessarily see, the hyper feminine female wrestler that some male fans maybe have a taste for, but Athena is just this force that cannot be stopped. She's the fallen goddess. She's omnipresent and she's omnipotent, and she just keeps just trampling through her opponents, and it's been amazing to watch. Next, we had the ROH World Television Championship title match, Samoa Joe versus Mark Briscoe, and I've been saying that it's been amazing to watch Mark Briscoe in ROH and also in AEW and, on TV, on pay-per-view. I definitely wish we could have seen more of the Briscoes on AEW TV when it was possible, but, unfortunately, even though it's under such sad circumstances, like now we can see more of Mark Briscoe in the AEW/ROH product. But Samoa Joe is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and I also talked about that in the past, that I watched his matches and I cannot believe that he was almost made to retire, that he was almost a broadcaster, that he was almost not a wrestler anymore, and which, a wrestler always stays a wrestler, but as not an active competitor anymore, because Samoa Joe still has so much to show, so much to prove, so much to, showcase, and it's just been super entertaining to watch him as this dominant champion. We saw him absolutely destroy Cheeseburger on an ROH Weekly, and he's just been this super dominant force in ROH, and he won that match, and I have no problems with that whatsoever. I don't think this loss harms Mark Briscoe at all. He's been so connected with the crowds, he's been so connected with the audience, and it's just been this beautiful thing, this beautiful storytelling of him being this significant presence in ROH with this title feud, but also with the tag team titles, and we're going to talk about this in a bit, but he's really been carrying the spirit of, the late great Jay Briscoe, and he's really been carrying that energy, and the way he's been connected with the audience has been super special. So this loss does not damage him whatsoever, and it was a great match to see. Next, we had Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Daniel Garcia. And that, to me, was one of the most exciting matches on the card for sure, because it's such an unusual mix of styles, such an unusual mix of backgrounds. Like, on the one hand, we have Daniel Garcia, who tries to denounce and tries to deny the part of him that's a professional wrestler. He claims he's a sports entertainer. He's with JAS. But then, on the other hand, Daniel Garcia has always been the super rough, super raw character, and that's the reason that I like him so much, and he's one of my favorite wrestlers on ROH probably at all. He's just a guy who always wants to fight, and the way I like to describe it is his drive is almost that of like a middle schooler in a school bathroom in a fight during recess. Like, it's just so real, it's just so raw. There's no show-off aspect in it. It's not for show. It's not vulgar. It's not like, he's not trying to make it pretty. He's not trying to make people like him. It's just super raw and super real and super, like, relatable. And it manifests in the smallest things, in his in-ring style, in the smallest stuff that he does, but then he's also super technical, like we all know. And to me, Daniel Garcia fits the premise of ROH as a concept so well. And we did see him have a pure rules match, and I would love to see him in that kind of matches more, because I feel like with his super technical, super precise style as a wrestler, it just works super well. And he's so young, and I'm sure he has a huge and bright future in wrestling. He's just such a good fit for ROH. But then we have Hiroshi Tanahashi, who pretty much embodies the spirit of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Everything about him screams New Japan. The very classic Japanese style, the very classic Japanese entrance music, the very classic Japanese ring attire. And Hiroshi Tanahashi is definitely a New Japan legend. And to see those two people wrestle each other is definitely dream match grade for me. And we saw just unmatched intensity from Daniel Garcia in that match. Dirty tactics, using the stairs, just like trying to just beat up Hiroshi Tanahashi as opposed to wrestle him, which Hiroshi Tanahashi still, resulted on top, and he won that match, which is super fair because he's a veteran and he's been in this for so many years. And just seeing Hiroshi Tanahashi wrestle live is an honor for any wrestling lover. And to me, that was definitely one of my favorite matches of the night. Then I had the Reach for the Sky ladder match for the ROH Tag Team Championships. We had Aussie Open, we had Top Flight, The Kingdom, Lucha Bros, and La Facción Ingobernable. And that match was awesome. Let's just, get that out of the way. And it was super emotional. You can see that from the entrances up until the very last moment. And of course, after the match, we had this super emotional moment. FTR came out. And in that moment, after the match, there were no enemies. Like, everyone saw and knew and realized how special that moment was and how real it was. And it was just such a bonding moment for the wrestlers involved, of course, but then for the crowd with the wrestlers also. Like, everyone knew how special that match was for everyone involved. And, it was an honor to witness it. And Lucha Bros came out on top. Lucha Bros are the new ROH Tag Team Champions. And honestly, that match definitely for me had the potential to be the best match of the entire weekend, of the entire week, because I do love myself a ladder match, and we had some crazy dangerous spots, but unfortunately that also led to an injury. Dante Martin unfortunately got injured, and we did get updated at the press conference after that he's in the hospital, that he's going to be out of action for significant amount of time. Unfortunately, I witnessed the accident from very, very up close. Looked super scary. And, unfortunately, when you do a very dangerous spot, it's always a possibility that something like this might happen. But then wrestling is just a dangerous sport on the whole, and you never know when something like this might happen. Like, you might break a bone while catching a suicide dive, or you might pull a muscle while doing a simple clothesline. Like, you never know when something like this might happen, and it's, no one is at fault, no one is to blame. And that definitely left a bitter taste, but, we're wishing Dante Martin a speedy recovery, and hopefully he can be at 100%. He can come back to the in-ring action as soon as possible, because we have been seeing Top Flight finally get the flowers they deserve and get all these awesome matches and all these awesome opponents. So I hope he can be back and healthy as soon as possible. What I'm saying is, it happens, it's wrestling. And one thing that I also want to say is, whenever you're live at a show and you see someone get injured and it looks scary and super gruesome, don't post videos of it. I know it generates clout, I know it generates likes and retweets, and I know that better than any other person, because as a content creator, that's kind of what we live off of, and that's kind of what we seek always. But there's better things to generate you likes than someone getting hurt. It's just unethical. Don't post it, don't repost it. Just respect their privacy and respect their journey to getting back to health. So yeah, having said that, like I said, wishing Dante Martin a speedy recovery. Then we had the Ring of Honor Pure Championship match, which, again, to me, those pure matches and that pure championship is what makes ROH special. Like, that's what I think when I think ROH. So whenever I get to see a pure match live, especially, it just feels super special to me, and I just love to see those. And we saw the legend Katsuyori Shibata take on Wheeler Yuta, which Wheeler Yuta has been just a star lately, and he's been very much in his bad guy era, very much in his villain era, but I do feel like he fits, again, the concept of ROH and the concept of the pure championship so well. And he just does those pure matches incredibly, and he's incredible to watch. And again, watching him wrestle Shibata was definitely another dream match grade situation, and the way that their styles match is amazing. Maybe one minor criticism that I would have is I feel like when we're talking a pure match, a pure rules match, when there's a commission of judges, I just don't think stuff like low blows and cheap shots should be happening, because it kind of defeats the purpose of there being judges. Like, oh, cool, like someone distracted the ref, or the ref didn't see it. But you have a whole panel of judges right there, you know? Like, it's either judges should be doing a better job, or why are they even there? Like, it just doesn't really make sense to me where we have a pure match and there's 3 people ringside watching super closely, and oh, someone distracts the referee and Wheeler Yuta gets in a low blow. Like, it just should not happen, in my personal opinion. But anyways, Shibata won that match. Great celebration. Streamers, everyone is incredibly happy. Shibata is appearing in ROH as a part of their agreement with New Japan, and he's just going to be on our screens for some more time, which is just awesome. And I cannot wait to see what other opponents he takes on in the future. And then we had the main event, of course, the ROH World Championship, Claudio Castagnoli, the champ, versus Eddie Kingston. And Claudio didn't want to wrestle Eddie in AEW, so Eddie phoned him in ROH, and Eddie's allowed to wrestle for that title in ROH. And Eddie Kingston has also been one of the wrestlers who just connects with the crowd and with fans so well. And he might not be perfect, he might not be your average good guy, he might not be, you know, kissing babies and waving from windows, but he's ultimately super real, and he's ultimately super human and very, very relatable. So people just love him. There's this incredible riddance about Eddie Kingston that, like, you can't not like him. But I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely team Claudio. Even though, again, Claudio does have his dark side, and he's been very supportive of Wheeler Yuta's shenanigans. But to me, Claudio really does represent what an ROH champion should be. He does represent that man of honor, and he does talk about it in his promos, where he did insult Eddie Kingston here and there, mentioning that Eddie Kingston has no honor, which arguable. I do feel like Eddie Kingston does have that honor also, just in a very different incarnation. But to me, Claudio is what an ROH world champion should look like. To me, he's doing just such a great job representing the brand, and his wrestling is very classic in a way, but also has so many like fun quirks about it. Like, even the giant swing submission that Castagnoli does is just so unconventional, but requires so much freaking strength. And in that match, we saw that Eddie Kingston proved himself to be unswingable. That could not slide in the match with Eddie Kingston, but still, Claudio, to me, is just this very, like, noble, manly character, I guess you could say. I'm talking about him so weirdly, because I just think that he's such an unconventional wrestler, and I just think that he's such a cool presence in the roster, and even though he does fit so well with the Blackpool Combat Club, he's just so special, and he's just so unlike them. And I just really, really want to see Claudio remain champion. I want to see more Claudio in the top card position, and I just don't want it to end. So maybe I'm biased just because I appreciate his work so much. Anyways, it was a great match. It was great to see those two finally go with each other. I would hope that maybe it's not over. Maybe this rivalry isn't over. Though Claudio did get asked during the press conference, you know, is there going to be a rematch? Like, is this still going on? Is this over? And he pretty much just said, hey, I won the match. What else do you want? Which is very, very fair. So all power to Claudio. And that's it. And in my opinion, that was just an amazing show. that was definitely the best ROH show I've ever seen. And in my opinion, again, definitely the best show of the weekend. And it's just like set us up for so many cool things to come in the future for ROH, and definitely showcased so much of a different type of wrestling and so much different talent and so many different styles. And it was just an absolute delight to watch, and even a bigger delight to cover. And in the meanwhile, thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below, tell me what you thought of the show. Give this video a like if you had a good time. Subscribe, the notification bell to never miss an upload. And until next time, goodbye.